Beneath the laughter of Oktoberfest tents, beneath the clinking of steins and the smell of roasted pretzels, lies a city with secrets. Munich, Bavaria's proud capital, is known today for beer gardens, football, and fairy tale charm. But peel back the surface, and you'll find a history far darker, stranger, and more complex than the cheerful postcards suggest. This is the city where revolutions were born, where dictators rose, and where quiet acts of defiance shaped the future of Germany. Our story begins not in a beer hall, but in a monastery. In the year 1158, a small community of Benedictine monks brewed beer on the banks of the Isar River. The word München itself comes from Mönch, the German for monk. It's no coincidence that centuries later, beer would become the city's lifeblood. A drink so important that a law, the Reinheitsgebot of 1516, dictated what ingredients could and could not go into it. But Munich was never just about beer. It was a city of power, ambition, and sometimes danger. Fast forward to the 17th century. The 30 Years' War devastated much of Europe, and Munich was not spared. Swedish troops marched into the city in 1632, looting treasures, humiliating its people. Yet Munich survived, rebuilt, and became even grander under its Bavarian rulers. Palaces rose. Baroque churches shimmered with gold. Visitors admired its elegance, calling it the Athens on the Isar. Few could have guessed what storms the city would face in the modern age. At the dawn of the 20th century, Munich was a hub of art and culture. Painters like Kandinsky and the Blue Rider Group revolutionized modern art in its galleries. Writers debated in cafes. Musicians experimented with new sounds. But the beauty of the city couldn't shield it from the chaos of politics. After Germany's defeat in World War I, Munich became the stage for a revolution. Soldiers and workers declared a short-lived socialist republic. For weeks, red flags flew from towers, and street battles shook the city. The experiment ended in blood, but it left Munich restless, vulnerable, and fertile ground for extremists. Enter a failed Austrian painter with fiery speeches, Adolf Hitler. In the 1920s, Munich became the cradle of National Socialism. Here, in smoky beer halls, Hitler raged against the Treaty of Versailles, Jews, and anyone he blamed for Germany's humiliation. His words stirred anger but also drew eager followers. In 1923, he tried to seize power in what became known as the Beer Hall Putsch. Marching with his supporters through the streets, he was met with gunfire. The coup collapsed. 16 Nazis died. Hitler was arrested, tried, and imprisoned. But Munich had already given him a stage, and the world would never be the same. This is one of Munich's darkest secrets. It was not just a bystander in history. It was the movement's birthplace. Nazi headquarters were established here, swastikas hung from buildings, and the city was styled as the Hauptstadt der Bewegung, the capital of the movement. Even today, some buildings from that era still stand, repurposed, but whispering reminders of what once was. Yet Munich's story is not only one of shame, it is also one of courage. In 1942, a group of students at Munich's Ludwig Maximilian University dared to resist the dictatorship. They called themselves the White Rose. They printed leaflets denouncing Hitler, urging Germans to rise up, and scattered them in the university halls. For a moment, their words flew like sparks of hope. But the Gestapo closed in. Hans and Sophie Scholl, along with their friend Christoph Probst, were arrested, tried, and executed by guillotine. They were barely in their 20s. Today, outside the university, white rose petals made of stone lie scattered across the pavement. A reminder that even in Munich's darkest hour, voices of light refused to be silenced. When World War II ended, Munich was a skeleton of a city. Bombings had flattened its streets, leaving rubble where once stood Baroque palaces and theaters. The survivors faced hunger, cold, and the shame of their city's role in Nazism. But Munich, true to its nature, rebuilt. And with rebuilding came reinvention. In the 1970s, Munich presented itself as modern, international, even utopian. The 1972 Olympic Games were meant to show a new Germany, peaceful, democratic, welcoming. Bright stadiums rose, designed to look like sweeping tents. The motto was, "The cheerful games." But history once again intruded. On September 5th, 8 members of the Palestinian group Black September stormed the Olympic Village, taking Israeli athletes hostage. The standoff ended in bloodshed, with 11 Israeli athletes murdered. The world was horrified. Munich, once again, became the stage of global tragedy. And yet, even from this, the city carried on. The Olympics left behind modern architecture and a new identity as a high-tech, forward-looking hub. Munich became a city of contrasts, where traditional beer halls sit beside cutting-edge industry, where lederhosen meets laptops. It grew into the wealthiest city in Germany, home to giants like BMW and Siemens, yet still defined by its festivals, markets, and easy charm. Today, Munich wears many masks. To tourists, it is the land of Oktoberfest, the fairy tale towers of Neuschwanstein just a train ride away, the sparkle of Christmas markets. To historians, it is a city of revolutions, dictators, resistance, and rebirth. To locals, it is simply home, a place of proud traditions, beer gardens shaded by chestnut trees, and a dialect that sounds almost like a song. But beneath it all, Munich keeps its secrets. Few visitors drinking beer at the Hofbräuhaus know that the same hall once echoed with Hitler's speeches. Few who admire the calm university courtyard realize the courage it once held. Few who cheer at Bayern Munich games think of the rubble their stadium once replaced. And perhaps that is what makes Munich's history so compelling. It is a city where joy and tragedy, beauty and horror, tradition and reinvention constantly collide. A city that reminds us that history is never simple, never one story, but a tapestry of contradictions. Munich's secret history is not just a tale of the past. It's a mirror, showing us how culture, politics, and ordinary people can shape, and sometimes scar, a city. But also how resilience, creativity, and courage can heal it again. And so, the next time you raise a glass of beer in Munich, remember the monks who brewed it, the students who resisted tyranny, and the city that has lived through centuries of triumph and tragedy. Because behind every toast, every laugh, every moment of joy, Munich whispers its secrets to those willing to listen.